think you were worried about the state of C++ and where it was going. There was some articles and papers that you wrote. I've been to Stockholm multiple times in my travels for business and went to the museum. And so I thought, and there's people who've said, look, C++ is getting monstrous. There's all sorts of things going on. Will it collapse on itself? And so I thought I'd give you a chance to discuss your thoughts about C++ stability and evolution over time.
Sure. We've actually been pretty good at stability. I first brought up the Vasa as a warning story in the 90s, and I'm now doing it again because one of the dangers to a successful language is over-enthusiasm. Currently, people are very enthusiastic about C++. The user population is growing. My guesstimate is about 4.5 million users, going up by about 100,000 a year. We don't hear much about that, but if a little language that was new got 100,000 users, it will be all over the web. In C++, it's just business as usual, and statistically, it's not very significant because 100,000 in 4.5 million is a very low percentage. But it is successful, and we had 181 people at the San Diego Standards meeting. I mean, I know of legislative bodies that are smaller than that, and we have to make decisions. This is hard. The more people you have in the room, the more time it takes to talk about it, the more people has to be convinced, the more people have to agree. And it's a very diverse group in terms of the areas of work they're doing. So this is difficult. Also, we had 256 new papers, and we had some leftover papers also. So we're talking about more than 300 papers we have to work through. And the 276, I did some counting, and the number of words on the order of magnitude of 3 times the combined words of William Shakespeare. This is insane. And so I'm not saying C++ is collapsing under its own weight. I'm saying if we are not being careful and honest about this, it will collapse. However, this has happened before, and it didn't collapse because we were careful and came to our senses before it happened. I guess I should tell the story. Not everybody has heard about the Vasa. In 1620s somewhere, the King of Sweden wanted the greatest battleship in the north, named after the royal family, the Vasa. And they built it, and they got it well started, and then they noticed that the opposition was building battleships with 2 gun decks, as opposed to the older style that had 1 gun deck. And you can see it on the picture there, it's got 2 gun decks. So they changed it so it had 2 gun decks, so it was a good fighting ship, but it was also supposed to be sort of a prestige ship that you can sail into harbors and impress the locals. So it had to be the most beautiful painting, the most fancy statues on it. And they should have gone back and modified the foundation a bit. It needed a slightly bigger keel and a broader bottom, but they didn't do that. They didn't have time. They told the king that they needed some more time and they should rebuild it. And back comes the standard thing from high management. The king says, you do that or else. And so they built the ship, and it was beautiful, and the trumpets blaring, the people on board. They went out in the harbor of Stockholm. They got half across. A gust of wind came, it keeled over and sank. And it was hidden for 300 years down at the bottom of the sea and fished up again. And I don't really want C++ to keel over. So I'm warning people, and I'm giving lists of things and saying, you can't have all of this. You can't have everything you want. I can't have everything I want. We need something that is an improvement and not something that's just a prestige project.